Something a little unusual happened in the Frisco and Prosper housing markets over the holidays. Now, typically, late December is one of the absolute slowest times of the year. Buyers pause, sellers wait, activity cools off, which makes sense. People are involved in other things. But that's not what we saw this past year. As a matter of fact, buyer activity was stronger than expected. And if that continues into spring, well, it could really change the balance of this market going forward. So if you're a homeowner and you're wondering whether this is the year to sell, or you're a buyer trying to decide whether waiting is actually going to help you, then you're going to love the content that I've got for you in today's video. Now I'm going to start with a quick national snapshot. We're going to just take a brief look at inventory, prices, and mortgage rates. Then we're going to zoom in on what's going on right here in Frisco and Prosper so you can see exactly what's going on in the market right now. And since all real estate is local, in the link below, I've included a link to my Altos Market Reports so you can pull the exact same data that I'm going to be sharing with you in this video for any city or zip code in the country. So make sure that you check that out. So now let's start with the big picture so everything else makes sense. And by the way, if we haven't met before, I'm Andrew with the Andrew Smith team here in Frisco and Prosper, Texas. Now at a really high level, there's three really important things that happened in real estate in 2025. Number one, inventory grew. And while we're still undersupplied compared to historical standards, compared to the past few years, we've actually seen more homes for sale, which means buyers finally had more options. And as you'll see in just a minute, that helped put a cap on the runaway price appreciation we had been seeing over the past several years. That alone changed the dynamic in many of the real estate markets around the country. Now, second, home price growth cooled, as I just mentioned. Prices haven't crashed, and there's still no sign anywhere that they are going to, but they also stopped doing that runaway appreciation that I said that we've seen over the past few years. And in fact, many parts of the country saw prices go flat and even decline. And it's actually now in a much healthier environment for the market long term than we've seen in quite some time. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So this map that we're looking at here is giving us an idea of what home prices did nationally. So as we look right here, okay, so all of the states in blue saw home price appreciation through the first 3 quarters of 2025. And this is nothing new if you've seen some of my previous market reports. I talked about many times how the upper Midwest and the Northeast were showing signs of a much stronger market. But when you look down south, right, Florida was hit pretty hard. Their prices were down 2.3%. You know, Texas here, it's down 0.1%. So it's essentially flat. Arizona down slightly. California down slightly. So you can see that home prices across the country overall definitely cooled from where they were in the past. And the third big story of 2025 was mortgage rates finally started to trend lower. So you can see here, they started the year back in January up right around 7%. And you can see it was a volatile ride all the way down to the end of December here, where rates dropped off to the very low 6s. As a matter of fact, as I'm recording to this, rates briefly dropped into the very high 5s at the end of last week. I don't know that that's going to continue, but it is a significant change from where we were just a year ago. Now, there is one other national trend that's really important, and it doesn't get talked about anywhere near enough. And right now, for the first time in years, there are more homeowners with a mortgage rate of 6% plus than there are homeowners with a mortgage rate of 3% or lower. That matters because for the past few years, we've been dealing with what has been known as the lock-in effect. It kept a lot of potential sellers from actually selling. I mean, let's face it, if you're sitting with a 3% mortgage, why in the world would you put your home up for sale and move, having to buy a new, more expensive house, most likely at a 7% mortgage, unless you really had to? The answer is you didn't. And that helped put a cap on inventory and kept things much, much lower as far as supply goes, which is one of the things that caused prices to take off the way they did. So it now doesn't mean that everybody wants to move, but it does show that that lock-in effect has definitely eased from where it was, which is one of the reasons that we are seeing that increase in supply. So what does 2026 look like with regards to mortgage rates? So here is the latest mortgage rate projections for 2026. And you can see they're talking to Fannie Mae, Mortgage Bankers Association, and Wells Fargo. And if we were to look out here, not much change. I know I just said rates dropped into the very high fives. I'm not sure that they're going to stay there. There are a few things going on with the government right now, Fannie and Freddie, that could cause those rates to drop more than expected. But as of right now, the forecast is basically for rates to hold steady where they are currently throughout the remainder of 2026. Now, all of the national information is useful and helps paint a picture of where things are overall, but real estate ultimately is always local. So with that in mind, let's shift gears and take a closer look at exactly what's happening here in Frisco and Prosper. All right, so first up, let's take a look at the median price of homes. Now, the green line on these charts represent Prosper, and the black line is representing Frisco. Now, this data is pulled directly from those Altos reports I mentioned right at the beginning, and there is a link in the description below for you to get a look at this for your own city or zip code. And first and foremost, if we take a look at this data right here, you can see that Prosper, if we go all the way back to the beginning of January, they had a median home price of $915,000. You play all that out, they're currently at $850,000. So Prosper year over year is down. You can see that it was pretty flat from March all the way through September. And again, this is very similar to the data I shared in the December report. Prosper had a lot of new construction where there was a few communities closing out, and builders offered some substantial price incentives. They dropped the price on some of their existing inventory in an effort to move it, and that's had an impact in these numbers, as it does include new construction and resale homes. If you look at Frisco, on the other hand, back the beginning of January 25, a median price of $736, and here we are with a median price of $725. So not a lot of change. You didn't see a massive run up in prices last year as you did in 24. You can see here's, we came out of winter, we sit there and we do this big run up in prices. We didn't see that in 2025. And I'll be honest, I don't think we're going to see it in 2026 either, unless something changes. I don't see prices going down, but I really don't see them running away and doing a massive increase like we saw before. I think prices will edge up, but it's going to be at a much more normal pace of appreciation. As a matter of fact, this is the first year in many, many years where wage growth is supposed to exceed, is forecast to exceed, home price growth, which helps affordability overall. It's going to make homes much more affordable. So now next up, we look at inventory. Again, inventory is simply supply. So supply and demand is what causes home prices to go up and down. And much like we saw, look how flat Frisco's inventory was overall. This is going all the way back here to the beginning of 2025. There were 496 homes for sale. We got up to 850 in May. We're at 928 in July, 970 in July, and then here we are now at 596. So you can see Prosper had a much bigger, I should say, swing on there. And again, that's a lot of those new construction properties that I was talking about. So inventory has definitely grown. It's not like we're swimming in homes for sale, but there's definitely more for sale now than there was, which is great news for buyers, as it definitely gives you more choice. And then lastly, again, one of the ones I really like to look at here is what percentage of homes have received a price reduction. So this is before they've gone under contract. This is a very key metric, and it's a great leading indicator that not a lot of people look at. And if you think about it, if homes are selling relatively quickly or homes are selling at a good pace overall, sellers don't need to cut their price in order for that home to go under contract. So when you see a high number of price reductions, that's telling you that there's weakness in the market. As the percentage of homes taking a price reduction drops, that's indicating that the market is getting stronger. And here you can see in both Frisco and Prosper, compared to where we were in August, the number of homes taking price reductions has dropped. It's now sitting right at around 40%, which I will say is very, very normal for the current market. The only time it was different is if you go all the way back here into 2023. This is still when we were dealing with the low inventory COVID timeframe. You saw price reduction, the number of homes cutting their price down in the mid-20s. All right, so what does this all mean if you're considering buying or selling a home? Well, for buyers, the market is finally more balanced. Rather than something nefarious coming on in the market or some massive crash going to happen, I've been saying for a while, the market is balancing out, and the numbers continue to show that is exactly what is going on. As a buyer, you've now got more options. There's less urgency. It's not like you have to see a home and make a decision that day, and you've also got more room to negotiate than you have in years. Now, for sellers, homes are still selling. That's the number one message, but pricing and presentation matter now more than ever. If you've got upgrades or maintenance that you've been putting off, that's not going to cut it in the market anymore. You are competing with many, many more homes than you were, which means the ones that are priced best, offer the best overall value, and show the best are the ones that are actually going to sell. Keep in mind, inventory is forecast to grow another 10% this year. So that just means that you're going to have to pay more attention to those things that you haven't had to worry about as much in the past few years. So those days of simply putting a home on the market and letting buyers fight for it, they're largely behind us, and I don't really see those coming back anytime soon. All right, so to wrap up here, overall, the way I describe the market right now, it's steadier, it's healthier, it's better than we've seen in a number of years due to the fact that it's normalizing. Now, if you would like help applying this to your specific situation, then please remember I do offer a free 30-minute consultation call. You can go ahead and scan this QR code, which will take you directly to my calendar, where you can grab a time, and there's absolutely no pressure whatsoever. It's simply a chance to go through the numbers, your timing, your options, and provide you the information that you need to make the decision that is best for you and your family. And that goes for both buyers and sellers. So hopefully you found this update on what's going on in the local market helpful. Again, please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions whatsoever. I thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.